welcome to today's video. Today, I want to talk to you about colostrum. This is a supplement that I've personally been using. I've been using with several of my clients, and I want to explain to you what it is, how it works, what the compounds in colostrum are that are influencing the health of your body. I want to help you figure out how to use it, and I'm going to give you a couple of use cases, a couple of imaginary situations where colostrum could be a really impactful and powerful supplement. So you can see if any of these examples sound like you, maybe you want to consider colostrum supplementation. So first of all, what is colostrum? Colostrum is milk that is produced by the mother immediately after giving birth. This milk is what sets the foundation for the health of the offspring. The way it does this is it contains many compounds that aren't present in the normal milk that is given months or years after the birth. The first milking is packed full of different types of compounds that regulate the immune system. It contains probiotics as well as prebiotics that feed these organisms. It's one of the most important factors around the birth of the new offspring that's going to significantly influence its health for years, decades, for its entire lifetime. So we can take colostrum from animals that have just given birth and get all of these health benefits. So let's take a look at how are we getting these benefits? What is in colostrum that is giving us these benefits? So first of all, you've got the nourishing compounds. In this category, we've got two substances. First of all, we have lactoferrin. Lactoferrin is a glycoprotein that aids in iron absorption and promotes cellular growth. We also have growth factors, including IGF-1 and TGF-beta. These work by stimulating tissue repair, muscle growth, and regeneration. You can imagine how these would be really important for a newborn animal or a newborn human. But imagine what it would be like to put these inside gut of somebody that has a digestive health problem. We're improving nutrient absorption and cellular growth. We're stimulating tissue repair and regeneration. These are absolutely amazing for supporting the digestive system to regenerate and therefore to feel good and to do the jobs that the digestive system is supposed to do. Next, we've got the microbiome regulating compounds. We're going to see lactoferrin come into this category again, because in this case, it acts as a selective prebiotic and a selective antimicrobial. It promotes the growth of beneficial gut bacteria, and it can even inhibit the growth of harmful pathogens. In a similar way, we also have a substance called lactoperoxidase. This also supports the microbial balance by being a selective antimicrobial agent, meaning it can target harmful bacteria and other types of organisms without killing our beneficial microbes. You probably know I'm not one for just nuking the gut microbiome. And this is one reason that I love colostrum, is it allows us to prune the microbiome. We can be a bit like a gardener going in and pulling out the weeds without just destroying the entire garden. And it's some of these compounds that allow us to do that. And finally, in this category, we have oligosaccharides. So these are a specific type of prebiotic that is present in milk. And as you can imagine, colostrum being for a newborn, it's really important that we start to feed and establish that healthy microbiome. And these oligosaccharides, while they can be quite broad spectrum and feed lots of things, there are certain organisms that like them more, and one of these is bifidobacteria. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you know bifidobacteria is one of the most important types of microbes in your whole digestive system. Next, and this is one of my favorite categories, we have anti-inflammatory compounds. Having a digestive system that is full of inflammation feels really bad. It affects your appetite. It makes you not want to go to social events. It can even make you feel like really bloated out, and it makes you feel really fat, even if you're actually not. You know, a lot of people with the SIBO and that sort of pregnancy belly, a lot of that isn't even bloating and gas, it's actually inflammation. So if we can calm inflammation down, you can see a reduction in these symptoms significantly. So the first way we can do this with colostrum is proline-rich polypeptides. These are some really cool substances that modulate the immune response and decrease inflammation. So we're literally taking an anti-inflammatory agent when we take a colostrum. Because this is coming from milk, it's also full of cytokines, and cytokines are small proteins that regulate inflammation and promote healing in tissues. This is also one reason that I really love colostrum, is a lot of people don't tolerate probiotics by themselves or antimicrobial agents because it creates so much inflammation. But taking colostrum as it's a whole food, it has these natural anti-inflammatory compounds in it, and it tends to be more tolerated by more sensitive individuals. And finally, we have immune regulating compounds. So first of all, we've got immunoglobulins. These are some really cool molecules. They're basically like the different types of weapons that we have in our immune system. Imagine you have an army. You have different soldiers that use different weapons. You've got swords and bows and arrows. And then if you think more modern weaponry, we've got tanks and sniper rifles, helicopters. These are all different tools. So making sure that we have as much of these resources at our disposal as possible is really important to make sure we have a strong immune system. These immunoglobulins are slightly different. Why these are immune regulating instead of antimicrobial compounds is not only do they neutralize bacteria and viruses and even toxins as well, they actually boost the mucosal immunity at the same time. So these can work as selective antimicrobial agents, but it's more like they're working alongside your body and helping your body do what it's trying to do. And ultimately, as we all know, that's where healing actually comes from. It also contains interleukins. These can have almost like an immunosuppressive effect, which actually can be good contextually. They can promote immune tolerance and prevent excessive immune activation. Something I found really interesting was helminth therapy, which is where they're using helminths, which are basically like a parasitic worm. They're giving them to people with Crohn's disease and colitis because they have these overactive immune systems, and they produce compounds that help to calm the immune response down. If your immune response has become completely dysregulated, your gut can even be attacking things that aren't harmful, or it can be attacking things that are harmful in a completely disproportionate way. You could kind of imagine like seeing a spider walking on your wall and taking out a gun and shooting it. Like, that's completely overkill. That's unnecessary. And if your gut's doing the same thing, you're going to have excessive inflammation for no real reason. And finally, we've got lysozyme. This is a compound that can break down bacterial cell walls and help to regulate the microbial balance. So when you combine all of these things together, you can see that colostrum is doing so many different things all at once. And this is one reason that it tends to be better tolerated. I find that people that are a little bit more sensitive, those with kind of sensitive digestive problems that maybe have food sensitivities or struggle to find supplements that work for them. Maybe they know that probiotics are what they need to do, but they can't increase their tolerance. Colostrum can work really well because it has so many things that are working on so many different angles all at the same time. So now you understand what the compounds are in colostrum that are helping it do all of the cool things that it can do for us. I'm going to look at a couple of imaginary use cases. So these will be theoretical individuals that colostrum could be a really effective supplement for. And you can see if you feel like some of your symptoms or your situation matches any of these archetypal energies, colostrum might be really helpful for you. So the first would be for somebody that has chronic inflammation in the digestive system, specifically like gastritis, ulcers, irritation through the small intestine. This could be coming from H. pylori, this could be coming from SIBO, this could be coming from toxicity in the environment. Like, for example, amalgam fillings and mycotoxins can really irritate the upper digestive tract. Obviously, it's really important to address the root cause, remove the source of toxicity. But colostrum could fit in really nicely here as it helps to influence the composition of the microbiome and simultaneously reduce inflammation without suppressing the immune system. There are lots of things that reduce inflammation. You could take steroids, for example. However, as they reduce the inflammation, they also reduce the immune response. If you've got a dysbiosis going on, you don't want to reduce that immune response. You want to keep that immune response strong. So this way we can get the best of both worlds. We can support the immunity and reduce the inflammation. This would lead to the individual feeling less discomfort and, in all likelihood, more tolerance to other things like foods that they might be sensitive to or probiotics that they're struggling to progress with. On the topic of probiotics, that brings us nicely on to use case number 2. This is an individual with chronic gut dysbiosis. This is somebody that potentially feels actually better when they take antibiotics or antimicrobials, but it's short-lived. As soon as they stop taking the antimicrobial agent, they stop feeling better, and they actually end up feeling worse than they did before they started taking it in the first place. This is such a classic microbiome dysbiosis situation, where the body has lost the ability to regulate the microbiome, and we're almost artificially regulating it with some external substance. Thing is, this is like a crutch. In the short term, potentially you need it so that you can walk. But in the long term, it prevents true healing and becomes the thing that's holding you back. So the reason that colostrum can work really nicely here is it has a very natural and very almost like a minimalist approach to modulating the microbiome. It's antimicrobial, but in a very gentle way. This would allow us to do this almost like physiotherapy or rehabilitation process of this microbiome transition. And due to the other compounds in it, like the oligosaccharides that will feed the bacteria that we need, but also these things that are promoting repair and reducing inflammation, these proline-rich polypeptides, the lactoferrin, as well as replacing things that might be missing in a damaged gut, like the immunoglobulins. When we bring all of this together, this individual, instead of needing to constantly take antimicrobial agents and antibiotics, might be able to make that transition using colostrum to then introduce probiotics to tolerate them better and to begin to shift that microbiome towards a more healthy balance where it's able to actually self-regulate and become able to hold itself in a state of health instead of needing external support. And the final use case that we have here, somebody dealing with chronic autoimmune problems and low immunity. This is a really tricky situation, and I see this frequently. Somebody that has increased intestinal permeability triggers different types of autoimmune problems in the individual, depending on their diet, the microbes in their gut, their genetics. There's a lot of different factors, but the common denominator is leaky gut. This leaky gut is feeding autoimmunity, whether that's autoimmune skin problem or autoimmune arthritis, even things like autoimmune anxiety, depression. Is coming from their increased intestinal permeability. Simultaneously, because their immune system is always active and attacking its own tissues, it's completely run out of fuel, and when it's exposed to a common cold, a virus, a flu, or any kind of infectious agent where we would want to have a strong immune response, it's just flat. The body can't respond because there's no resources, there's no power left in the immune system because it's been fighting the body this whole time. Colostrum can be really helpful here because first of all, it's going to help to regulate that intestinal permeability. It's going to help to reduce the leaky gut. These anti-inflammatory and immune modulating compounds will help to bring the mucosal lining into a higher integrity and consequentially will have an influencing effect on the microbiome. So you'll see reductions in this autoimmunity. This is not only going to reduce the autoimmune symptoms, but it's going to allow the body to start building the immune system back up. So when it is exposed to a pathogen like a virus or a cold or a flu or something like that, it has more resources available so that it can throw everything at it and, maybe trigger a fever or increase in mucus production and get more of like a classic immune response, coughing, sneezing, you know what I'm talking about. And when that person actually does get sick, continuing to take colostrum while they're sick can really help the body to trigger an appropriate immune response. So it can keep that autoimmunity in remission whilst also stimulating a healthy activation of the immune system where we want it. So let me know, do you resonate with any of these use cases? Are you dealing with chronic gastritis and mucosal irritation? Or maybe you connect more with number 2, chronic dysbiosis and the need for antibiotics or antimicrobials, or a lack of growth in your beneficial microbes like bifidobacterium. Or maybe you connect more with number 3, chronic autoimmunity and a low immune system that goes alongside that, which sounds counterintuitive but actually makes a lot of sense. Let me know if you connect with any of these and if you feel like this is helpful. If that section of the video that explains some of these use cases, if you find that really helpful, let me know because I can stick that in all the future videos. So just before we finish, I want to help you figure out how to actually use it, because it's all well and good to have all this information, but if you don't know how to actually go about using it, it's completely useless. So here's what I would do. If you decide that you do want to try colostrum, you have to make sure you get a good quality product. What is most important when you're looking for colostrum is that you make sure that it's coming from the first milking. This means that the baby cow is born and they let the baby cow get the first milk, which is the way it's supposed to be, right? It's that cow's milk. So they let the baby cow drink and drink and drink until it doesn't want any more. And once it's finished drinking, they will then collect all of the rest of the colostrum that's left. It's really important that you make sure that it is collected within 6 hours of the birth, as the compounds that we talked about today are significantly higher and they decrease over time. So we really want to make sure we're getting the first milking. And this is usually called 6-hour colostrum. I would also suggest that you get it freeze-dried as a powder. It just so happens I actually have my colostrum next to me here. I think it's better to use freeze-dried as a powder because this way we're going to get it in the mouth, in the esophagus, and in the stomach, which is where our immune system starts. We need the compounds that are in colostrum in these areas as well as the rest of our digestive system. If you're taking it in a capsule or a pill, it's going to bypass this area. It also tastes absolutely phenomenal. It's like the creamiest vanilla ice cream you've ever tasted. It is absolutely amazing. So you would be missing out if you weren't enjoying the taste of this. My suggestion would be to start small as always and build your dose up according to your tolerance. Follow the Goldilocks zone principle, because although it is more balanced than other antimicrobial agents, it can still be a potent antimicrobial. So if you're nervous, start with however of a small amount you need to feel confident and safe. If you feel a little bit more robust, probably start at about half a scoop, or whatever the serving size says, take about half. Start there and then build it up. The best time to take this is first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. You can dissolve it in water, but I find it very difficult. It's very hydrophobic and just floats on the top. I like to just put it straight in my mouth. It tastes amazing. I love it. It also pairs really nicely with probiotics. So if you are taking probiotic, you can kind of amplify the effect of the colostrum and the probiotics by taking them together. They'll have a synergistic effect, and you'll make the probiotics more effective and you'll make the colostrum more effective. So if you feel like you're going to give colostrum a go, leave me a comment below. I'd be really interested to hear. And if you've already tried colostrum before, let me know how it worked for you. Because I tried colostrum a couple of years ago, probably 5 or even 6 years ago now, and I thought it was a useless supplement. If you watched my gut health supplements ranked, colostrum was actually quite low on the list. Whereas I think if I were to redo that video now, I would be putting it in maybe B tier, maybe A tier. It's really been growing on me because I've been using it personally and I'm seeing the benefits. And I've also seen it used with several of my clients, and it tends to be very well tolerated and it really does work. But I would be interested to hear your experience. So if you've already tried it, be sure to let me know. And you never know who's reading the comments. You never know who you might help. So do be sure to leave us a comment. We're all in this together. So that's everything for me today. Hope you found this video really helpful. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.